let's get going. We've got miles to cover.
Hey, shotgun guard! Hey, shotgun.
What's happened?
Come and see for yourself.
It's the driver. He's still alive. Get him to a doctor. I've got to be rolling.
You ain't taking the stage out alone.
That's right.
You're liable to run into trouble. The same fellas that got him will be laying for you.
Well, don't worry about me. Take care of him. Ah! Mind showing yourself, stranger? I'd like to shake your hand. Hello, Dave. Sunset Carson, you old bloodhound. I should have recognized your brand of shooting. What are you doing in the territory? Doesn't the chief think one postal inspector can handle things?
This Red River district's getting mighty hot, Dave. 3 stagecoaches and their crew and $80,000 have already disappeared on this run.
I know. Nothing's ever been found with the horses.
I wonder if this has any connection with the graveyard I heard them talking about.
Graveyard? Who?
The 2 we just smoked down. I run across them in a saloon over at Rimrock. I pretended to be asleep. Heard them mention something about dumping your stage in the graveyard.
I wonder what that means.
Wish I knew. Dave, you're carrying $30,000 in insured currency. You better get going. See you later.
Say, aren't you going to ride with me?
We'd better not be seen arriving by stage together.
All right. Say, my dad owns the RC horse ranch just outside of town. Suppose we meet there and compare notes.
All right, I'll see you later. I'll trade it for us if that's your well.
On foot?
No.
He ought to be sworn in as a postal inspector.
Oh, good luck, Dave.
See you later.
Lon, but who's that driving?
I don't know. Not one of our men. There must have been a slip-up.
Here's your train check.
When I seen you someplace before?
That approach went out with the Civil War.
Sorry, ma'am. You had a bad fall lately?
It's rheumatism.
That's too bad. Dad's got it. Got it in the Civil War. But he cured it with rattlesnake poison and tobacco juice. You ought to try it.
Thank you. I'll learn to chew tomorrow. May I use your plug?
Sorry, ma'am. Don't use it myself.
Oh, you...
Carson, ma'am. Sunset Carson.
Carson, you...
Can I do something for you, Mr. Carson? I'm Frank Stevens, the manager here.
Howdy, Mr. Stevens. Have a trunk coming in on the stage from Sweetwater. You suppose it'll get here before the next Civil War?
I think so. Trunks have a habit of moving slowly, but then... Where did you pick them up?
About 4 miles out of town, running loose. That means another stage has vanished, like all the others, without a trace. There's $30,000 of my bank's money on that stage.
The government will make good your losses, John. I'm thinking of the driver, the shotgun guard that were on that stage. No amount of money will bring them back.
That's all very good, John. But bankers are entitled to some protection, too. Money has some value. I tell you, these outrages must stop. John Morton's right. Right about these outrages, I mean. I'm also thinking about the men who lost their lives on that stage.
The whole thing seems fantastic. Stagecoach after stagecoach disappearing without a trace. If they had only left some clue to work on.
Yes, if they only had. But they didn't.
Take them to the barn.
Are you Mark Webster?
I am.
Well, I'm Sunset Carson.
You're a what, Carson? I haven't got all day.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe Dave had written to you about me. Just kind of waiting on you to pick me up.
Never heard of you. What do you know about Dave?
Dave and I were pretty good friends up in Colorado. He told me if I was ever down this part of the country, needed a job to look you up. Pretty fair hand at breaking broncs.
Oh, I see. How is Dave?
Fine. Last time I saw him.
So you want a job breaking horses? Well, I can always use a top hand. I raise horses for the Wells Fargo people and some for the Army. If you've got what it takes, I'll make a deal with you. Either pay you so much a head or straight wages, whichever you want. There's only one drawback. I'm short of bunkhouse room right now. I don't know where I'd put you.
That's all right, Mr. Webster. You're not far from town. I'll stop over at the hotel.
Then report tomorrow.
Oh, thanks. I don't mind where I bunk, but I'll sure miss your wife's home cooking.
Why? My wife's been dead 6 years. There hasn't been a woman on the place since. My cook's a Chinaman.
Oh, I see. Say, these look like might be a pretty nice pair of glasses.
Yeah, and don't mind. I found them.
Some people have all the luck.
I'll see you in the morning.
I'll be on hand.
Howdy, men, howdy. Save some of that drinking money and spend it on the best leather work in the West. What do you think of that belt for $5? That genuine top Underwood belt. Guaranteed never the butt, rust, or wear out.
Let me see it.
Certainly, my friend, certainly. See it, feel it, and try it.
Yeah, it fits. Charge it.
Cash on the barrelhead to you, my friend, or no sale. Give me my belt.
Go peddle your belt, Plump. You bother me.
Give me my belt.
Hey, that's funny. Do it again.
Sure I will.
Now let's you and me play.
Why, you...
This ought to take care of the damages.
Hey, Sonny, if you hadn't been so selfish with him, I'd have showed him something.
You can come out of your holes, boys. The drinks are on me. Are you about ready to go, Pop?
Yeah, as soon as I get Lucifer. Thanks, Sunset. You know, I always did admire your knuckle and elbow work.
Forget it, Pop.
Oh, say, what about Dave?
I don't know. He disappeared with the stagecoach.
Well, what happened to you? You were supposed to be trailing it.
I went chasing a girl.
What? It's a fine time for you to get romantic.
Well, nothing like that, Pop. I spotted her watching the stage just after we'd been attacked the first time. She was dressed like a man. I run her down, but she tricked me and got away.
Yeah, that's too bad.
If it hadn't been for her, Dave might still be alive.
You know, she might be the key to the whole thing. We've got to find her.
I've already got her tabbed.
Yeah, who is she?
Goes by the name of Julie Bennett. She works over at the Wells Fargo.
That's a swell place to get stagecoach information.
Yeah, unless I'm way off key, that's just what she's doing. Stopping over at the hotel. First time I get a chance, I'm going to search her room.
Go to your room. Sunset, you all right?
I'm all right. We just got outsmarted a little. I was on my way to search Julie's room. Heard someone in here and busted in and found her searching my trunk. Then somebody slugged me.
Say, that was Webster. He come off of that balcony like a flying squirrel, and then he hightailed it out of town.
Webster, huh? Then that ties in with what I told you this morning.
It sure does.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Howdy.
Now, how could she be out coming in when you say she's in going out?
How do I know? I told you she was smart. Now, the next thing she'll probably do is pull a disappearing act, like one of those stagecoaches.
Meet that stage at the fort. Turn it up the road to the graveyard. We'll set up the barricade. Cut those horses loose. Get that tree off the road. Get us to the ranch. All right, take the ropes off her and shove her over.
One more for the graveyard.
That looks all right, men. Be sure you don't leave any boot tracks. We'll all go back to the ranch. Long toward sundown, you and I can drift into Apache Wells.
Okay, Lon, maybe we'll... Hey, look.
Don't. Maybe just a couple of punchers looking for strays. We'll ride up into the Badlands. If they see us and follow us, we can handle them there. If they don't, there's no harm in being seen. Remember, nobody knows this stage has been held up yet. All right, get going, boys.
Hey, look, Sunset.
Well, they left a trail from right about here.
Hey, Pop, 4 empty 45 shells.
Somebody's reloaded their six-shooter.
This trail's been freshly swept. Pop, today's stage has been held up, and it was held up right here. And that gang we saw did it. Let's go.
Oh, wait a minute. You're probably right. But that bunch didn't have to let us see them. That means they want us to follow them. Let's do the opposite.
What do you mean, the opposite?
Well, that stagecoach had to go someplace. You wouldn't hide it over there in the rocks. Let's see what's over here in the direction they didn't want us to go.
Well, let's get at it.
Well, that's your graveyard, all right, Sunset.
Yeah. Now all we gotta do is find out who's doing the burying.
Hey, Sunset.
What's this doing here?
You know, we ought to trail them, but it'd be a tough job without them knowing it.
We don't have to, Pop. They're headed straight for Webster's ranch. Now, I'll tell you what we'll do.
Howdy. I'm looking for the boss of this spread.
I'm the owner.
Well, that's boss enough for me. I'm Pop Underwood. I come way out here to mend your harness and maybe sell you some saddles.
I'm not interested.
Well, you will be when you hear my prices.
I told you I'm not interested.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard a man say. Where can you get a saddle for $25?
I never heard of such a thing.
Neither did I, but come on, let's go inside and talk it over.
Oh, all right.
That's Dave's hat, all right. I made that band when we were sitting around the Denver office last summer, after the Wyoming job.
I remember now. Well, Dave's out there in that stagecoach graveyard. And that graveyard's on his dad's ranch. Pop, it looks as though his old man is as guilty as Judas. But nobody'll ever make me believe that Dave was...
Ah, wait a minute. I broke you kids into the inspection service. I raised both of you. And there ain't a dishonest hair in either one of your knotheads. Now, Mark Webster ain't the first crooked father that ever let a good son down. And don't you ever forget that, son.
Okay, Pop.
Where's Frank?
Mr. Stevens stepped out just a minute ago. But I can take care of this for you.
Oh, yes. Yes, sure.
First-class mail?
I want it registered, too.
Be $3.
Hey, where are you going with that?
Why, I have to put it in the valuable mail pouch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. I just came in to mail a registered package for a friend. I hope it gets to him all right.
It will, Lon. It will.
It's almost time for the stage, Mr. Stevens.
Yes, I know it is. If you'll give me the register receipt book, I'll check out the valuable mail pouch. Thank you. Come in.
The stage is ready, Mr. Stevens.
I'll bring the pouch right out.
Oh, Mr. Stevens. Just like a man, he hides everything.
Looking for something, Julie?
Why, yes, I needed the registry receipt book, and I thought... well, you see, I knew you had it, and...
Yes, I have got it. Here it is.
Thank you.
Got some errands to do, Julie. I'll be gone about an hour.
Yes, Mr. Stevens. Here's your receipt.
I haven't seen Julie all night, and I'll swear she hasn't left the hotel.
She gave you the slip somehow. She's been out to Webster's ranch. I cut ahead of her coming back.
Well, there she comes now. Say, we got enough on her to question her right now. And it's so quiet there ain't going to be any interference.
Thank you. Well, where's the regular clerk?
Oh, it's his night off.
Oh, well, would you put up my horses and buckboard, please?
Yeah, sure.
pretty handy with a gun as well as a horse. I suppose you don't know anything about this.
Well, only that someone tried to kill me when I entered my room.
Let's have a look at your room. This will make quite a souvenir. Julie, why should anyone want to kill you?
I don't know.
It wouldn't be connected with the vanishing stagecoaches, would it?
Well, why should it be? What have I got to do with the stagecoaches?
That's what we're going to find out.
It'll make it a whole lot easier for you if you tell us the truth.
Tell you the truth. Look, just who are you? It's obvious neither one of you is what he claims to be. And no one in this country ever heard of you until after these stagecoach disappearances started. Now, if there's any talking to be done, suppose you two do a little of it.
Well, there's one way of making her talk. Keep an eye on her, Pop.
And suppose you sit down. And take your hands out of that purse. I happen to know that there's one barrel in that derringer that hasn't been shot. And there's been enough shooting for one night.
Well, not to suit me.
Yeah, you do an awful lot of riding on that stage trail, don't you?
So you are spies for the stagecoach robbers. I knew it.
How do you explain these and your hookup with Mark Webster?
I don't explain anything to you.
Well, you'd be a whole lot better off if you did. Hey, you're acting mighty peculiar for a traveling auditor of the Wells Fargo Company.
You'd better talk, or I'll turn these and you over to Frank Stevens.
Oh, no, you can't do that. Not Stevens.
Why not?
Why not Stevens?
Well, because... Look, who are you two?
We're United States Postal Inspectors.
Postal inspectors. I'll believe that when I see your credentials. Well, you two certainly had me scared. Here.
Pinkerton Detective Agency. This is to certify that Miss Julia Bennett is a fully accredited operative of this agency. It looks like we've been chasing each other around the bush. Well, maybe we can work in a straight line from now on. Shake.
If I'd have known who you were the first time I met you, I'd have eased up on my rope a little.
Well, it's a good thing I was working on this stagecoach job. I'd taken a shot at you. You play a little too rough.
See what I tell you? Always tip your hat when you rope a lady, Sunset. Oh, I say, what's this about Stevens?
Oh, well, I think he's the one that threw the knife at me, because he's the only person in town who'd have a reason to want to kill me.
Why?
Well, this afternoon, Lon Ballard came into the office to insure a package, and I put it into the valuable mail pouch. Well, later on, Mr. Stevens came in. And so while he was gone, I copied down as many of the serial numbers as I dared. And they matched with the ones that the agency gave me.
And you're certain that Stevens knew you had seen that money package in his desk?
Well, I'm positive.
Doesn't it seem odd to you that Stevens would leave the money in his desk if he was guilty?
Well, yes, I've wondered about that. But if he isn't guilty of anything else, he's guilty of trying to steal it from Ballard.
I'm not convinced of that yet.
Miss, what are you driving at, Sunset?
I'm not just quite ready to accept Frank Stevens as a thief, much less a murderer.
I'm glad you said that. He's been so kind and considerate, it's awful hard to believe anything, well, so evil about him.
Well, don't, until all the chips are down. Now, would you mind telling me where Mark Webster fits into this?
Well, years ago, Mark was a Pinkerton operative working with the Cattlemen's Association. So we knew he could be trusted 100%.
Well, that's a good thing to know. When this case breaks, we may need a few honest men around. Come on, Sunset.
Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, don't open up for the day yet. I have an important matter I'd like to discuss with you. Will you step into my office? down, my dear. That was a horrible experience you had last night.
Yes, it was. He almost killed me.
And to think that all the time I was supposed to be his intended victim.
You?
Mr. Ballard had a good and sufficient reason.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes. And after I tell you the reasons for my suspicions, I'm sure you'll agree with me. Yesterday, Lon sent off an insured package.
Yes, I know. I insured it for him.
Now, I don't suppose you ever noticed, but Lon sent off an insured package after each stagecoach holdup. That's what first aroused my suspicion. Yesterday, I withheld the package, and I examined it. It contained a large sum of money. More money than Ballard could have earned off his ranch in a year.
Then he must have found out what you did.
Yes. That's why he attempted to kill me.
But he tried to knife me. He was in my room.
Yeah. By mistake.
By mistake.
My dear, don't you see? He got into your room thinking he was in mine. That's the only answer. Isn't it? He had no reason to harm you, only me.
Mr. Stevens, I believe you're right.
It's extremely fortunate for me, for us, that old saddle maker and Carson were out carousing at that late hour.
Oh, but they weren't carousing, Mr. Stevens. They were attending strictly to business. You know, they're both United States Postal Inspectors.
They're what?
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything.
Why not? My dear girl, I'm the first one you should have told. Why, I've been hoping and praying for federal aid in these matters. And to think that they've been operating here under my very nose. Well, you don't know how glad I am to hear this.
It is a relief to know we can depend on their help.
Yes, I must contact them at once.
Oh, well, I'd be careful, Mr. Stevens. One careless move right now might ruin everything, just when we're about ready to wind up the case.
I'll watch my step, Julie. You've helped me more than you know, my dear. More than you know.
I never did like a bit with a short shank.
Hello, Frank. Must be something important to bring you out here.
I'll let you be the judge of that. I want to see you alone, Lon.
You can talk in front of Hackett. He understands our setup.
I thought it was agreed that no one but us was to know.
Yeah, but it's different with Hackett. He stuck his neck out plenty far for us. What's got you all head up, anyway?
Sunset Carson and Pop Underwood are United States Postal Inspectors.
How'd you find out all this?
From my little office assistant.
Oh. Then it was lucky your knife missed her last night.
The luckiest thing in the world. I wouldn't have found out about Pop Underwood and Sunset Carson till it was too late. Now we'll get both of them.
Count me out, Stevens. I've had enough.
So with everything running in our favor, you're afraid to stick your neck out. Is that it, Hackett?
Take it easy, Frank.
Any time I've been robbing the United States mail and the country begins to fill up with postal inspectors, I'm going to move. Call it what you want.
That's just what they want us to do. If they had any proof against us, we'd all be in jail now. If you listen to me, I'll show you a way out, and we won't have to move an inch.
How?
Well, I don't know where Sunset Carson is right now, but I'll find out through Julie. I do know where Pop Underwood is, in his wagon saddle shop on the outskirts of town. Send 3 men in and get him, alive. Bring him out here and lock him up someplace. I'll guarantee to get Sunset and the girl out here. Then we'll dump them all in the graveyard.
Just how are you going to get Sunset and the girl out here?
I haven't been wrong yet, Hackett. Just leave that to me. And another thing. Put Underwood's coat and hat on his guard and have him sit out in plain sight. The rest of you keep well under cover.
So you see, there wasn't any other way to play it. You and Julia both looked mighty guilty. especially Julie riding around the country with those clothes.
Thanks for bringing them back, Carson. I know how you felt. All the while, we thought you were watching the town for the bandits. Now you think it's Stevens and Ballard.
Has to be. See, that registered package trick was the way Ballard slipped Stevens his share of the payoff money. Smart trick, using the mail to protect their payoffs.
Well, they've been half smart right along. Wasn't exactly dumb using that waterhole of mine as their graveyard. I agree with you. That's probably where it is.
Say, how much of a job is to drain that pond?
Well, not much. It's just a dirt fill. Have a stick of dynamite, will empty it right down to the bottom.
Well, let's get started.
Goodness, you've been gone a long time. Did you find them?
Well, I located Pop Underwood, but I couldn't find Sunset Carson. Do you know where he might be?
Oh, yes, I think so, but he said...
Oh, I understand, my dear. But surely there'd be no harm in delivering a message to him. Would there?
Oh, no, of course not. What did you want me to tell him?
That we've discovered all the evidence we need against Lon Ballard.
You have? Well, how'd you get it?
Well, this morning after my talk with you, I went to Pop Underwood and told him my story. He suggested that we search Lon Ballard's ranch for evidence. Luckily, we found just what we were looking for.
And that's what you want me to tell Sunset?
Yes, that Pop Underwood is in hiding on Ballard's ranch now. He wants Sunset to meet him there.
I'll go at once.
Welcome to Ballard's Ranch, Underwood. How's the saddle business?
Well, it was all right up until a short while ago.
You have any trouble with him?
Meek as a lamb. These postal inspectors are not so tough.
Who says I'm a postal inspector?
Frank Stevens, and he hasn't been wrong yet.
Frank Stevens.
Lock him in the smokehouse. Give his clothes to Luke and put him on guard, and then you come in the house and stay undercover.
Come on, Underwood, get going.
All right, inside, boys. You got a little waiting to do.
I wouldn't go any closer, Mr. Webster.
Dave's body's in there somewhere.
I know. That's why...
The graveyard.
That's right, Julie. The graveyard of stagecoaches and some good men.
When I dammed up this Red River, I never thought I was making a watery grave for my own son.
Well, the men who did it will pay for it now, Mr. Webster. Pop's down at Ballard's Ranch with all the evidence we need to convict the killers.
Who told you that, Julie?
Why, Mr. Stevens. He left Pop guarding the evidence while he came in town to get you.
Carson, there's something about this that smells to high heaven.
You bet there is. Come on, Webster.
And I tell you that every moment we wait is endangering the lives of that brave girl and those two gallant postal inspectors. I say we should ride as a posse to exterminate Lon Ballard and his gang. And ride now.
That's Ballard's place. This is about as close as we can get mounted without being seen.
I'll go down and look it over. Leave the horses here and follow me down as far as the thick brush grove.
Sunset, there's Pop in the yard now.
That's Pop's clothes and hat, all right, but it isn't Pop.
Are you sure?
Pop Underwood never smokes a pipe. He hasn't any teeth to hold it with. Let me use your six-shooter. You can take the Winchester.
What are you going to do?
Go on down there and get Pop if he's still alive. If any shooting starts, give me some cover, but keep out of sight.
Is that you, Sunset?
Yeah.
I thought you'd snoop around out there and you saw that bell.
It like scared me to death. I thought someone was following me.
Well, walk easy, son, because there's a guard out there somewhere.
I've seen him. Now hold in that belt and stay put. I'll be back pronto.
Oh, I hope that guard doesn't turn around.
Hey, Pop,
Right here, son.
get away from that door.
All right.
It's Carson. They've got a posse with them. Run out. It's Stevens.
The dirty double-crossing rat,
Ballard, you're under arrest.
Ballard, it would be another crime against this community to risk a miscarriage of justice in your case. So I'm going to... Didn't work. Did it, Sunset?
Why'd you kill Stevens?
I had to, Julie, or he'd have killed Lon Ballard. Then nobody on earth would have been able to convict Frank Stevens.
Convict him of what?
Organizing the Red River Renegades and being the brains behind the vanishing stagecoach ring. From the night of the attack on you, I knew Stevens was the man we wanted.
But you said that...
That he wasn't.
You see, Miss Julie, we were afraid your suspicions of Stevens might prevent him from doing something that would convict him.
Ballard and Hackett were the only witnesses against him. Hackett stood with his hands in the air while Stevens deliberately murdered him. He'd have done the same thing to Lon Ballard.
I understand, Sunset.
Take care of him, Pop.
All right, come on, you animals. And you over there, get out of my clothes.
I guess I didn't figure out all the answers, did I, Sunset?
You figured out enough, but what you need is some shadowing experience.
Shadowing experience?
You know, following a man around. Now, I might suggest a hard case I know of that might give you some good experience.
Why, Sunset,